Hi, welcome back to The Mouse and the Motorcycle. Before break, we read the first 8 chapters. Before we read the 9th chapter, I'd like to review. The book, The Mouse and the Motorcycle, was written by Beverly Cleary, and it's the story of 2 main characters. One is Ralph the mouse. The other is Keith, who's a boy. In this story, Keith lets Ralph borrow his toy motorcycle, only Ralph can make it really move by making noises. The only thing is, Ralph loses the motorcycle. And chapter 8 ends this way with Keith saying, "I guess I should have known you weren't old enough to be trusted with a motorcycle." And then it goes on to say, the boy could not have said anything that would hurt Ralph more. So we ended at a very sad moment where the boy was telling the mouse, "I shouldn't have trusted you." Okay, so chapter 9 starts from there. It was a sad night for Ralph, a sad and lonely night. If he went back to the mouse hole, his mother was sure to worry him with embarrassing questions about the motorcycle. She would also expect him to help clean up after the family reunion. If he took off his crash helmet, he could squeeze under the door and explore the hall on foot. But he could not bear to part with the helmet. And anyway, he had no desire to travel by foot, where he had once ridden with such noise and speed. Ralph scurried through shadows on the floor to the curtain, which he climbed to the windowsill. There he sat, huddled and alone, staring out into the night, listening to the kissing sounds of the bats as they jerked and zigzagged from the eaves of the hotel through the pines and back again. Around the window, the leaves of a Virginia creeper vine shifted in the breeze, and down in the lobby, a clock struck midnight. An owl slid silently through the night across the clearing of the parking lot from one pine to another. Ralph could remember a time when he had envied bats and owls their ability to fly, but that was before he had experienced the speed and power of a motorcycle. Early in the morning, the smell of bacon drifted up from the kitchen and brought back all of Ralph's dreams of the ground floor. It was not long until he was embarrassed to discover that Keith was awake and lying quietly in bed watching him. "Hi," said Keith. "Oh, hello." Ralph wished he had returned to the mouse hole before dawn. "Well, I guess it's about time for me to go to bed." Keith sat up. "Don't go yet. Wait till my parents get up." Ralph leaped to the floor. "I didn't think you would want to talk to me after I lost your motorcycle. But I may never have another chance to talk to a mouse." Ralph was flattered. It had never occurred to him that a boy would consider talking to a mouse anything special. "What would you like for breakfast?" asked Keith. "You mean we get room service?" "After what I did?" "Sure." Keith pulled his knees up under his chin and wrapped his arms around his legs. "You mean you aren't mad at me anymore?" asked Ralph. "I guess you might say I'm mad, but not real mad," Keith decided. "I've been lying here thinking it wouldn't be right for me to be real mad because I get into messes myself. My mom and dad tell me I don't stop to use my head." Ralph nodded. "I guess that's my trouble too. I don't stop to use my head." "They say I'm in too much of a hurry," said Keith. "They say I don't want to take time to learn to do things properly." Ralph nodded again. He understood. If he had waited until he had learned to ride the motorcycle, he would have never ridden off the bedside table into the wastebasket. "I'll never forget the first time I rode a bicycle with handbrakes," reminisced Keith. "I took right off down a hill. I'd always ridden bicycles with foot brakes. When I got going too fast, I tried to put on my foot brakes, only there weren't any." "What happened?" Ralph was fascinated. "By the time I remembered to use the handbrakes, I hit a tree and took an awful spill." Somehow this story made Ralph feel better. He was not the only one who got into trouble. "The hard part is," continued Keith, "I am in a hurry. I don't want to do kid things. I want to do big things, real things. I want to grow up." "Well, you look pretty grown up to me," said Ralph. Well, maybe to a mouse, conceded Keith, but I want to look grown up to grown-ups. So do I, said Ralph with feeling. I want to grow up and go down to the ground floor. Everybody tells me to be patient, said Keith. But I don't want to be patient. Me neither, agreed Ralph. Someone stirred next door in room 216. Well, I guess I better be running along, said Ralph. Say, about that breakfast. Sure, what do you want? How about some bacon, suggested Ralph, remembering the fragrance that had floated up to the windowsill. And some toast? Yes, with jelly, agreed Ralph. Ran off to the mouse hole, eager to tell his family things were not so bad after all. They were still entitled to room service. But when Ralph reached the mouse hole, he found pandemonium. And that means chaos. It means people were probably running all around. Let's find out. His brothers and sisters and cousins were huddled together, squeaking with fright. His mother picked up a bunch of shredded Kleenex and put it down again, only to pick up another bunch, as if she did not know what to do. Uncle Lester and Aunt Dorothy were there too, stuffing crumbs into their mouths as if they expected never to eat again. Dear me, Ralph's mother was saying. Dear me, whatever shall we do? Oh, Ralph, there you are at last. Where on earth have you been? Never mind, we haven't time. Time for what? Asked Ralph. What's going on around here? The housekeeper, your Uncle Lester, the sheets. She could not tell him what was wrong. Uncle Lester swallowed a mouthful of crumbs. It's like this, Ralph. The housekeeper discovered a hamper full of sheets and towels and pillowcases with holes chewed in them. Uh-oh, thought Ralph. Whatever had happened was all his fault. He might have known, because he was the one who chewed those holes. I heard her telephoning the manager about it from her office, continued Uncle Lester. The manager came up and called in all the maids and the bellboys, and everyone had to look at the holes chewed in the sheets. It was quite a powwow, which means a meeting. The motorcycle, thought Ralph. What happened to the motorcycle? There might be a chance it did not go to the laundry after all. You didn't happen to see a motorcycle in the housekeeper's office, did you? He ventured. I was listening, not looking out, said Uncle Lester. I am not foolhardy like some people around here. Ralph, you know what this means? His mother managed to pull herself together to say that much. It means war on mice, said Aunt Dorothy. It means they will try to get rid of us. Who knows how? We have to leave. Leave? What about room service, said Ralph. Room service, exclaimed his mother. How can we expect room service after you lost that poor boy's motorcycle? It's all right, Ralph assured his mother, could not resist adding rather grandly. I've already ordered. Room service is bringing us bacon and toast and jelly. The news silenced everyone. A breakfast of bacon and toast with jelly delivered to the mouse nest without first being dropped on the carpet was not to be abandoned lightly. We want jelly! We want jelly! All the little cousins began to squeak. Be quiet, ordered Uncle Lester. Do you want them to find us here? Ralph knew that no matter what the others chose to do, he was not going to flee from the hotel, not until he found out what had happened to the motorcycle. He was very sure of this, and all at once he felt calm and clear-headed, as he had never felt before. He knew exactly what his family should do. Quiet, everybody, Ralph ordered, standing up straight so all his relatives could see him. I will tell you what we're going to do. See, here, Ralph, interrupted Uncle Lester. You're pretty young to be giving orders to your elders. Now, Lester, said Aunt Dorothy, let's listen to Ralph. After all, he has our food brought up by room service. No one else in the history of the family has managed that. This silenced Uncle Lester, and Ralph was allowed to continue. What we should do is keep quiet for a few days. Here he looked down at his little cousins, who for once in their lives were not squeaking. I will arrange for room service to bring our meals, so we won't have to go scrambling around in the woodwork or scrounging around in the rooms. That way, we won't get trapped. No one will hear us. They'll think that we're not really here. Now, just a minute, said Uncle Lester. This boy won't be here for long. You know how it is with people here today, gone tomorrow. Ralph had the answer. This is only Sunday. He will be here until Tuesday. The boy always brings us plenty, and if we don't stuff ourselves, We can save enough to last until the management forgets us. Uncle Lester nodded thoughtfully. That seems like a sound idea. Yes, but Ralph, there's one thing that worries me, said his mother. How are we going to tip room service? When people have a waiter bring food to the room, they always give him a coin or two for his service. We haven't any money. Ralph had not thought of this. If we're going to continue to accept room service, we must do the right thing, insisted his mother. Don't worry, Mom. I'll think of something, promised Ralph, in the grand way he had acquired since he had ordered a meal sent up to the mouse nest. And our chapter ends there. What do you think will happen next? Do you think the boy Keith will really bring them bacon and toast? Do you think the maid will see them and that they'll get caught? Do you think Ralph will ever get the motorcycle back to his friend Keith? What do you think is going to happen next? Please write a note to me or record your voice telling me what you think will happen next. Bye-bye.